Hey, welcome back to Canal Recap. We have spent years dissecting the incredible universe that Insomniac Games has built, from the emotional highs of the first Marvel Spider-Man to the devastating symbiote-fueled chaos of Spider-Man 2. But today, we are looking toward the horizon. We are looking at the endgame. Today, we are breaking down the ultimate hopes, the darkest theories, and the absolute insanity that is waiting for us in Marvel Spider-Man 3. If you played through the final hours of the game, you know that Insomniac didn't just give us a satisfying conclusion, they planted a dozen massive, ticking bombs. Norman Osborn is demanding the G-Serum. Dr. Octopus is writing his final chapter in the raft. Cletus Cassidy has escaped with a crimson symbiote, and in the final seconds of the game, a young woman named Cindy Moon walked through the Morales family's front door. The board is set. The pieces are moving, and Insomniac is preparing to deliver what could be the darkest, most emotionally shattering superhero game ever created. Grab a drink, settle in, and let's dive deep into the ultimate hopes, the darkest theories, and the absolute insanity that is waiting for us in Marvel Spider-Man 3. If you played through the final hours of Spider-Man 2, you know that Insomniac didn't just give us a satisfying conclusion, they planted a dozen massive ticking bombs. Norman Osborn is demanding the G-Serum. Dr. Octopus is writing his final chapter in the raft. Cletus Cassidy has escaped with a crimson symbiote, and in the final seconds of the game, a young woman named Cindy Moon walked through the Morales family's front door. The board is set. The pieces are moving, and Insomniac is preparing to deliver what could be the darkest, most emotionally shattering superhero game ever created. Grab a drink, settle in, and let's dive deep into the ultimate hopes, the darkest theories, and the absolute insanity that is waiting for us in Marvel Spider-Man 3. Let's start exactly where Spider-Man 2 left off, because to understand where we are going, we have to understand the fragile state of our heroes. At the end of the game, Peter Parker does something he has never truly done before. He takes off the mask and steps back. After losing Aunt May, fighting his mentor Otto, and almost being consumed by the Venom symbiote and nearly killing his best friends, Peter's mind and body are shattered. He hands the reins of the city over to Miles Morales, choosing to focus on rebuilding the Emily May Foundation, the EMF, and finally building a real, stable life with Mary Jane. It is a beautiful, peaceful ending, and it is completely doomed to fail. The central theme of Spider-Man has always been, with great power comes great responsibility. The universe does not let Peter Parker rest. My biggest theory for the opening act of Spider-Man 3 is that we will experience a time jump, maybe a year or two. We will see a Peter Parker who is actually happy. He's running the EMF, funding new scientific breakthroughs, and maybe, just maybe, he and MJ are engaged or married.
But out in the streets, Miles Morales is drowning. Miles is now the sole protector of New York City. He's trying to balance his college applications, his relationship with Haley, and the suffocating pressure of being the only Spider-Man. The game will likely open by showing us how heavy the crown truly is. Miles is powerful, yes, but he doesn't have the decade of brutal experience that Peter has. When the city's criminal underworld realizes Peter is gone, they are going to push Miles to his absolute breaking point. This will be the catalyst that forces Peter to realize that his retirement is a luxury New York cannot afford. But Miles won't be alone for long. The post-credits scene introduced Cindy Moon, stepping into the Morales apartment with her father Albert. For casual fans, this was a nice little cameo. For comic book readers, this was an atomic bomb. In the Marvel Comics lore, Cindy Moon was bitten by the exact same radioactive spider that bit Peter Parker. However, instead of becoming a hero, she was locked away in a bunker for years by a man named Ezekiel Sims to hide her from interdimensional vampire-like beings called the Inheritors. Now, Insomniac is known for remixing comic origins to fit their grounded universe, so we probably aren't getting dimensional vampires. The most prominent theory is that Cindy's spider bite will be tied directly to Oscorp's secret genetics division, perhaps even the same division that created the spider that bit Miles. Here is why Cindy Moon, who will eventually take up the mantle of Silk, changes everything for Spider-Man 3's gameplay. Insomniac loves pushing the boundaries of traversal. Peter swings with mechanical precision and web wings. Miles swings with explosive bioelectric flare. But Silk? Silk is entirely different. In the comics, she doesn't use mechanical web shooters. She possesses organic webbing that shoots directly from her fingertips. She is also canonically faster and more agile than Peter, possessing a silk sense that is vastly superior to Peter's spider sense. Imagine taking control of Silk. Her web swinging shouldn't feel like a pendulum. It should feel like a ribbon dancing through the wind. Her combat should be hyper-focused on speed, using her organic webs to instantly wrap up enemies, vaulting off walls with martial arts precision. The narrative dynamic here is pure gold. Instead of Peter mentoring Miles, we will see Miles stepping up to mentor Cindy. Miles will have to learn how to be a leader, while Peter acts as the overarching father figure to both of them. It's a spider family dynamic that will make the inevitable tragedies of this game hurt so much more.
While the Spider family is growing, the Osborn legacy is crumbling into dust. Norman Osborn has lost everything. His wife, Emily, died of a genetic curse. His son, Harry, is now trapped in a comatose, brain-dead state after the Venom symbiote was destroyed. Norman's political career as mayor was ruined, and his company, Oscorp, is bleeding money. The only thing keeping Norman alive right now is pure, unadulterated hatred for the Spider-Man. In a chilling scene, Norman orders his scientists to prepare the G-Serum. For decades, fans have waited to see the Green Goblin in this universe. But the theory here is that Insomniac is not going to give us a goofy guy in a rubber mask. The G-Serum is going to be a highly unstable, untested performance enhancer that completely shatters Norman's psyche. We expect a terrifying blend of the classic 616 Goblin, the glider-riding, pumpkin bomb-throwing maniac, and the ultimate universe Goblin, a massive, hulking, fire-breathing monster. The G-Serum might start by making Norman stronger and smarter, but as the game progresses and he takes more doses to fight the Spider-Man, we could see his body literally mutate into a grotesque, terrifying gargoyle. Norman's attack won't just be physical, it will be systemic. He still has billions of dollars and a private military at his disposal. We theorize that Norman will use Oscorp's PR machine to brand the Spider-Men as terrorists. He will hunt them not just in the skies, but in the media, turning the citizens of New York against the heroes who have bled for them. He will target their loved ones. He will target the EMF. He will burn Peter's life to the ground. As terrifying as the Green Goblin will be, he might only be the physical threat of the game. The psychological horror will come from Dr. Octopus. In the post-credits of Spider-Man 2, Norman visits Otto Octavianus in the Raft Supermax prison. Otto is visibly degrading. His neuromuscular disease is paralyzing him. When Norman asks what he is writing in his notebook, Otto smirks and says, "The final chapter." This is the biggest, most mind-blowing theory for Spider-Man 3, the superior Spider-Man adaptation. If you haven't read Dan Slott's incredible comic run, here is a quick recap. Otto Octavianus realizes his body is dying. Using advanced neural technology, he forcibly swaps consciousnesses with Peter Parker. Peter's mind is trapped in Otto's dying, decaying body, while Otto takes full control of Peter's healthy, superhuman body. Otto then decides that he will be a superior Spider-Man, using brutal, lethal tactics, building a private army, and completely ruining Peter's personal relationships. Insomniac has perfectly laid the groundwork for this. They spent the entire first game focusing on Otto's neural interface technology. They established that his body is becoming a prison. Otto's final chapter is not a book, it is a schematic for a neural transfer device. Imagine the sheer terror of this gameplay scenario. Midway through the game, Otto captures Peter. A cutscene plays, a blinding light flashes, and suddenly you are playing as Peter Parker, but the voice in your head is Otto's. The animations change. The combat becomes brutally violent, breaking bones and showing no mercy. As the player, you are forced to control Otto and Peter's body, watching helplessly as Otto breaks up with MJ, insults Miles, and tears down the Emily May Foundation from the inside. Miles and Silk will eventually realize that something is horribly wrong with their mentor. The second act of the game could literally be Miles and Silk hunting down Peter, trying to figure out how to reverse the neural swap before Otto destroys Spider-Man's legacy forever. It would be the boldest narrative risk in gaming history, and Insomniac has the writing chops to pull it off flawlessly. And now we will talk about the villains for Spider-Man 3 game. starting with Cletus Cassidy. Throughout Spider-Man 2, Peter and Wraith, Yuri Watanabe, investigate a doomsday cult known as the Flame, led by a psychotic, Charles Manson-esque figure named Cletus Cassidy. In the final mission of this storyline, Cletus successfully derails an Oscorp transport train and escapes with a vial containing a terrifying crimson-red symbiote. He looks at it and promises to bring truth, judgment, and carnage. In the comics, carnage is what happens when a symbiote bonds with a completely unhinged serial killer. Venom, Harry or Krakoa in this universe, was driven by a twisted desire to heal the world. Carnage has no such illusions. Carnage just wants to paint the walls red. My theory is that Insomniac might release a standalone DLC or a Miles Morales-style spin-off called Spider-Man Carnage before the third game drops, just to bridge the gap. But if they save him for Spider-Man 3, Carnage is going to act as an unpredictable wildcard. While Norman Osborn and Doc Ock are executing highly calculated scientific plans to destroy the Spider-Man, Carnage is going to introduce pure, unadulterated chaos. We could see Insomniac adapt elements of the famous Maximum Carnage storyline, where Cassidy infects thousands of New Yorkers, turning the streets into a literal war zone. This level of violence will push the game's T rating to its absolute limits, leaning heavily into survival horror territory whenever Cassidy is on screen. The dynamic boss fight between 3 spider heroes and a towering blade-wielding Carnage monster is enough to sell the game on its own.
We also cannot forget about Dmitry Smerdyakov, the chameleon. In a brilliant hidden side mission in Spider-Man 2, it is revealed that the chameleon is Kraven the Hunter's half-brother. Dmitry has been living in a lavish penthouse, studying Kraven and manipulating events from behind a series of high-tech masks. When Kraven dies at the hands of Venom, Dmitry pledges to finish what his brother started. But the chameleon doesn't hunt with spears or robotic dogs. He hunts with identity. The theory for Spider-Man 3 is that Chameleon will be hired by Norman Osborn to completely destroy the public's trust in Spider-Man. Imagine swinging through the city, trying to stop a bank robbery, only to see footage on the J. Jonah Jameson podcast of Spider-Man throwing civilians off a roof. The chameleon will impersonate Peter. He might impersonate Miles. He could even impersonate Mary Jane to lure Peter into devastating traps. This will create a layer of intense paranoia throughout the narrative. You will never truly know if the NPC you're talking to is a friend or Dmitry waiting to slide a knife between your ribs. From a technical standpoint, Spider-Man 3 is going to be a showpiece for the absolute limit of the PlayStation 5's hardware, or perhaps even be a launch title for the PlayStation 6. We have already explored Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens, so where do we go next? The most logical step is to expand the map completely north, adding the Bronx. This would open up Yankee Stadium, the Bronx Zoo, and incredibly diverse neighborhoods with tighter alleyways and different architectural styles to swing through. But map size isn't everything. Insomniac needs to evolve the feeling of the city. We hope to see fully dynamic, extreme weather systems. Imagine fighting the Green Goblin in the middle of a massive, roaring Category 4 hurricane, where the wind physics actually affect your web swinging, blowing you off course if you don't adjust your trajectory. Imagine tracking Carnage through a blinding, silent blizzard where the snow covers the streets, and the only thing you can see is the crimson red of the symbiote. Furthermore, the introduction of Silk and her organic webs should fundamentally change the physics engine. If Peter swings with weight and Miles swings with momentum, Cindy should swing with tension. Her organic webs could act like bungee cords, allowing for snap turns and slingshot maneuvers that the boys simply cannot pull off.
Now we approach the climax. How do you possibly end a trilogy that features Doc Ock, the Green Goblin, and Carnage? You combine them. In the comics, specifically in Dan Slott's Go Down Swinging arc, Norman Osborn realizes that the Spider-Men are too powerful for his Goblin tech alone. Desperate for a victory, Norman manages to acquire the Carnage symbiote. He bonds with it, stripping away the symbiote's weaknesses to fire and sound by combining it with the G serum. He becomes the Red Goblin. This is the most terrifying entity Peter Parker has ever faced. A villain with the strategic, maniacal genius of Norman Osborn, the explosive weaponry of the Green Goblin, and the unstoppable, shape-shifting lethality of Carnage. If Insomniac adapts the Red Goblin for the final boss fight of Spider-Man 3, it will be the most cinematic, multi-stage battle in gaming history. We picture a sequence where you seamlessly transition between Peter, Miles, and Cindy in real time. Peter taking the fight to the skies, Miles hitting Norman with bioelectric venom blasts, and Cindy using her speed to web up his explosive projectiles. It would require the entire Spider family firing on all cylinders just to survive the night. But every war demands a casualty, and this is where the theories get incredibly dark and incredibly sad. Insomniac has explicitly stated that they view this as Peter Parker's overarching story. He has been Spider-Man for over 10 years in this universe. His body is scarred, his mind is exhausted. He has lost his aunt, his best friend, his mentor, and pieces of his own soul. To defeat the Red Goblin, to stop Otto Octavius, and to finally save the city from the sins of Oscorp, Peter Parker is going to have to make the ultimate sacrifice. Does this mean Peter dies? It is highly possible. We could see a heroic, tear-jerking death akin to the Ultimate Spider-Man comic run, where Peter takes a fatal blow to protect MJ and his friends, dying with a smile on his face, knowing he finally saved them. However, a more nuanced, beautiful theory is that Peter doesn't die, but his body is permanently broken. He might lose his powers entirely due to an anti-serum required to cure Norman, or he might suffer a spinal injury that prevents him from ever putting on the mask again.
The game would end not with a funeral, but with a sunset. Peter Parker walking with a cane, sitting on the porch of a house in Queens with Mary Jane. He looks out over the skyline of New York City. He sees two streaks dart across the clouds, one black and red, one white and crimson. Miles and Cindy. Peter smiles, realizing that the city doesn't need him anymore. He successfully passed the torch. The burden of great responsibility has been lifted from his shoulders, and for the first time in his life, Peter Parker is truly, finally, free. And as the screen fades to black, the camera pans down to MJ's lap, revealing a positive pregnancy test, the promise of Mayday Parker, the Spider-Girl, a legacy of hope for the future. And there you have it, the ultimate breakdown of hopes, theories, and the terrifying potential of Marvel's Spider-Man 3. From the introduction of Silk and the mind-bending horror of the superior Spider-Man, to the devastating descent of the Green Goblin, and the final tragic sacrifice of Peter Parker. If Insomniac can pull all these threads together, we aren't just looking at the game of the year. We are looking at the greatest superhero story ever told in any medium. But what do you guys think? Is a superior Spider-Man theory too dark for this universe? Do you think Peter Parker will actually die? Or will he get his happy ending with MJ? And how excited are you to potentially swing through the city as Cindy Moon? I want to hear all of your wildest theories and predictions. So drop a comment down below and let's get a massive discussion going. If you enjoyed this massive deep dive, please do me a huge favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more of this deep lore content. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching and see you next video.